president raised a good question over the weekend with respect to Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, who now has a net worth within the millions. And one must ask themselves, why and how is that possible? Is she connected to the fraud rings that we have seen taking place within her state and her own district? It's a question the American people are raising, and the president believes it's one worth answering.
Well, it is a good question. Congresswoman Ilhan Omar entered Congress in 2019 with a net worth of next to nothing, really. But since then, she's apparently worth over $30 million. The House Oversight Committee says that's impossible without corruption. It is formally opening an investigation into Omar's mystery millions, even exploring a subpoena for Omar's husband over business gains that don't seem to add up. This is coming after a massive $9 billion Somali social services fraud scandal that's erupted in Omar's district. Charlie's got details on this. Charlie, let's start with her husband, a guy named Tim Minette, who was a political operative working with people who were involved in all these scandals, and particularly, of course, Omar, and then Keith Ellison when he was a member of Congress. He's now the Attorney General. He was in his. How does this guy Tim Minette go from being a radical political operative to being essentially a hedge fund guy?
Well, no one really knows. I should point out that we spent at the Post 3 weeks, more than that, 4 weeks, almost a month on this story. Jeff Earl, great reporter in the Washington Bureau, took the lead. I helped out, especially with the Wall Street stuff. There's nothing illegal with Tim Minette making money, okay? And there's nothing illegal with her wealth exploding when she marries Tim Minette, who runs, theoretically, some sort of a fund. It's been described as a venture capital fund. It's been described as a private equity fund. If you go to the website, it said it once managed $60 billion in assets. And I interviewed, over a dozen people that are in this space. No one could figure out who this guy is. No one ever really heard of him outside the political realm. He was a very good, apparently, sort of progressive, political advisor. It's the money part that no one seems to understand. There's no disclosures. Now, we should point out, if you're a venture capital fund, you don't necessarily have to disclose. If you're a private equity fund with more than $100 million in assets, you should be disclosing with the SEC. There is no disclosure here. We don't know, based on this sort of obtuse way he discloses it on his website, Rose Lake Capital, I believe it is. Yeah. You don't know where the private equity and where the venture capital ends and begins. They do say $60 billion in assets, which, by the way, if you're running $60 billion in assets, that's several times higher than what Steve Cohen runs at his big hedge fund. I mean, you should leave some footprint. No one could figure it out. There is issues here with a side gig he had with a winery.
Right.
And there was also issues about who he put on his board. Look of his board of advisors who kind of didn't know they were barely aware they were on the. Max Baucus was on that. We tracked him down.
Yeah, they scrubbed that list, by the way, when all these stories broke.
They scrubbed it.
These guys all said we didn't know we were advisors.
Well, they scrubbed it after the first Post story on it, and then Jeff actually spoke with Baucus on it, and he said I think they took his name off because he didn't know what they were doing.
He didn't have a clue. Jackie, let's just take a piece of this. That wine company, which went from having a value of $15,000 in 2023 to over 1 million, between 1 and 5 million just a year later, and yet you go into their site, you can't find the production, you can't find what they're selling. There have been people who've gone to the business and sort of like the Somali scandal in Minneapolis, there's nobody there.
Right.
I mean, so there are these kind of phantom operations that are a part of this.
The wine business is a very hard business, especially for a new company. So to just open and all of a sudden, did you say within a year, skyrocket to over $1 million business and then not really have much to show for it is interesting. Listen, I'm not going to condemn or judge anybody, but I'm going to say all the questions that you're raising are valid questions. As soon as I saw this, we started this looking at the story like a few months ago at his net worth, and things didn't seem to jibe. So they have every right to look into it. Comer says that, what did he say here? His quote was that it's not possible. It's not. I'm a money guy. It's not possible. So do the investigation. And Ilhan Omar and her husband, if you have nothing to hide, then put it all out there and prove to people that this is completely legit.
Take the wine business out. I'm not an expert at wine. My wife is. I'm not. Particularly on the business side, the fund thing is interesting to me. only because it is possible to build a significant venture capital fund.
It is possible.
Based on your political connections with top people, and top people in the Democratic Party clearly know this guy. But what is baffling to me is, like, I know a lot of people in Silicon Valley. That's apparently where they do business. No one could figure out, like, what they're doing. I know all these people on Wall Street that are Democrats that would theoretically be in that mix.
Yeah.
They don't know this guy. I mean, when you run $60 billion in assets, you know, no offense, you should leave some sort of a marker somewhere.
Taylor, the problem is that in this political environment that we're in, we know that whatever they turn up, unless it is nailed down and they can absolutely prove it, whether they're federal prosecutors or whomever, it's good. Ilhan Omar and the whole Democratic system is going to come out and say it's a witch hunt, a political witch hunt. They'll probably use the phrase lawfare that Trump used against, I think rightly so, against him. But in this case, there seems more smoke there than there ever was under the Trump investigation.
Where there's smoke, there's usually some fire. Alleged, innocent until proven guilty. We'll follow all of those things. What I don't like is I think there needs to be changes in the reporting standards. So I believe it is the Ethics in Government Act, which requires you to check a preset box of your personal wealth. What I don't like is that box ranges from 1,000 to 15,000, and then let's go on, $1 million to 5 million,
5 to whatever.
But then there's 5 million to 25. So I could be worth 5, or I could be worth 25. I could be worth 25. I could be worth 50, or I could be worth over $50 million. So let's narrow those ranges, or put in a generally rounded to the next number what it actually is worth, not this preset bracket.
Yeah, so I agree with that, but I think the problem with just sweeping this on the rug and saying lawfare is if you go to Rosalie Capital's website, it's very interesting. Just go there. It raises so many eyebrows between what they said they were, what their AUM, assets under management, what they're doing now. There's really no way to, like, sort of get in touch with them as a
it's like the daycare centers.
You know, I don't want to say that.
Hard to get in
like
touch
that
with
a little
them.
bit?
That's a little bit like guilt by association.
Are we ever going to get to the bottom of it?
Of course we are.
Brian?
Yeah, we can get to the bottom of it. And we have to, because socialists in America have proven themselves profoundly good at getting rich the higher they get in the political world. And that is not an accident, and it's also not ethical.
Part of the model, though.
It's part of the model.
So socialists use the capitalist system to get rich, to push socialism.
And more than the capitalist system.
A lot of millionaire socialists out there.
Yeah, George Soros.